here from Safe with Sam. Right, the next question is, my dad and older sister are moving halfway across the country in less than a month. My parents have been divorced for about 15 years, but have always lived in the same town, so we can see both of them as often as we want. But now it feels like I won't have access to him or my sister anymore. If I want to see them, I have to plan it out weeks prior, and it will cost me $500 a plane ticket. I know how much he didn't like his job and living in this town, but I don't know if I can handle it. It's very, very difficult when parents divorce. Having gone through the same thing myself, on both sides actually, it's really, really tough on young people. I remember when I was going through it years ago, somebody saying to me, "Well, why are you upset? Is your mum and dad divorcing?" But I was absolutely devastated. The people that I loved more than anything were arguing, and they were saying things about each other that normally they wouldn't do, and it was tough. It was really tough. But I think one of the things I hadn't anticipated at the time, and that I've seen an awful lot more in clinic as I've taken clients, is the fact that divorce also is a bereavement. It's a bereavement for all sides. It's a bereavement for your parents' marriage, and it's a bereavement for the children, for what they once knew. Mum and dad being together, going on holiday together, sitting at the table together, doing homework together, all those things that you used to go to do together, you can no longer do. Now in this situation, we also have another bereavement, even though it's 15 years after the divorce. This is a really tough stage because your father and your sister are going across country, so you're not going to have the access to them that you once did. You can obviously Skype them, and you can keep in contact by text, email, Facebook, all those different things that you can do. However, it isn't the same as just being able to phone and saying, "Do you mind if I come over?" Or "Can I just come and have a drink and spend some family time together?" Because $500 is an awful lot of money to try and save up. And as I'm not quite sure of your financial situation, whether you're still in college or you've got yourself a job, it is quite difficult to get that much money together. It's little things that people won't realise that you'll miss, and it is just popping round, or if you're not very well, saying, "Dad, can I just come and have a cuddle?" And spending quality time with your sister. This is really a stage that if you can accept and allow the change to come in, it'll be much easier upon you. Because often when we fight change is when it's more difficult. This change is clearly going to happen. Dad, as you say, doesn't like his job where he is, doesn't like where he's been living, so has wanted to probably do this for some time, but has maybe held back because he wanted to stay closer to you. But maybe he feels now, after 15 years, that you're far more independent, and that he thinks you will be living a life of your own soon, so feels confident enough to be able to say, "Well, I'm sorry, but I am going to move away, but I'm still here." Dad will still love you exactly the same way. The distance is what the problem is. So it's not fighting the change and trying to accept that that change is going to happen. Find ways of keeping in contact, which means that you feel more secure. Try maybe, if you can, to plan out when you're next going to see him, so the transition is much easier for you. Because trouble is, if he suddenly goes away and then you don't know when you're going to see him next, you don't know when you're going to see your sister next, that transition can be a lot harder. So talk to him, find out when you can go and see him. He may not be able to give you an answer straight away because he might have to settle or find somewhere to go, and so therefore he might not be able to give you that immediate answer that you're after. The divorce and separation of any parent is tough on a child, even years later, because it does feel as though you have your head, if you like, in both camps. You're with mum and then you're with dad, and that transition can be quite difficult sometimes. it might also feel to you like he's being taken away from you for a second time. He's gone once and now he's gone again. And that could be really, really difficult to manage because you've lost him once and look, I'm losing him again. Don't look at it as you're losing him. It is simply he is physically moving, not emotionally moving away from you. And that might make things a little bit easier for you. If you have a really tough time with this and you really are struggling, there are people you can go and talk to, maybe your family and friends who will understand what you're going through. Try a colleague, maybe somebody you know who has been through a very similar thing to you. Try having a talk to them, and everything that you're feeling, they'll say, well, yep, that's how I felt, or yeah, that's how I dealt with it. But I think the first thing to do is maybe have some kind of plan in action, so that if you have that in place, you can feel more secure that Dad isn't leaving you. The other thing you could do, and I don't know whether you've approached this yet, is to talk to Dad. Ask him how he feels. Tell him how you feel about him leaving you and that you're going to miss him, and what kind of things can you put in place to make both of you feel better about it. Because this is clearly a tough decision for him to make as well. And I'm sure it really, really was a hard decision for him. So talk to him. Maybe there's some fear in there that you think that he's leaving you once again and that you're going to feel all those horrible hurt that you did before. Because unfortunately what can happen is when somebody is left once, they are kind of stuck in that place of being left the first time. So when it appears like this, that Dad is leaving again, but for different reasons, it re-triggers the initial trauma of Mum and Dad splitting up. So talk to him about that and say that this is how you're feeling. Acknowledge those feelings. Once you've acknowledged them, they actually don't hurt quite as badly. But when we kind of push them to one side and think, nope, nope, I'm not hurting, I'm absolutely fine. What tends to happen is then that we pretend to ourselves that we're okay, but actually inside we're not. And once we don't acknowledge it, it starts to eat away at us a little bit, which I think is probably what you're struggling with as well. So go and speak to Dad, tell him how you're feeling, see how you're going to keep in contact with your sister. You don't say whether she's younger or older, but see how you're going to keep in contact with her, and accept and acknowledge that you're going to miss them, that you love them, and that you will go through a grieving process. It's not like a bereavement when we physically have someone die, but it's actually not much different either. So it's a lot of people don't realise you don't have to have somebody who dies to actually go through the grieving process. Now there are 5 stages. The first is denial, when we can't quite believe it's happened or it's going to happen. The second is anger, when we're absolutely furious. Why is that person left? Why are they going? Why leave me? What have I done wrong? The third one is bargaining, where we'll do anything. Just 5 minutes, please stay 5 minutes. Stay with me, come back, I want to be with you. The fourth one is, now it's not a scary one, but it sounds scary, is depression. And when we go through a bit of a low, when we realise that we're hurting and we're missing that person, it's not like a clinical depression. It is just feeling sad and a bit lonely and a bit, you miss that person. And the fifth one is acceptance, when you finally accept that that person has gone. So in this case it will be your dad travelling across country with your sister, that your life is not going to be the same as it was before. So, but those stages are natural stages, they're normal, you will go through them. If you can acknowledge them and accept that you're going through them, it will make things very, very, it'll make them easier for you, let's put it that way. I wish you all the very best with this, because I know how much it hurts when you've already got over one shock of things being different, and you know how painful change can be sometimes, to then have to face it again, which is exactly the position that you're in. Please go and seek some help with this, go and talk to someone. You can go for counselling for something like this. If you feel that you're being re-traumatised by dad going. But also a trusted friend is a pretty good idea as well. Somebody who kind of gets the situation that you're in at the moment. And you're going to miss them. And I'm sure they're going to miss you. So talk to dad, talk to your sister, say how you feel, and then set up some kind of way of keeping in touch so that the loneliness doesn't hit you quite so badly. I wish you all the very best, and I hope that you see your dad and your sister very soon. You take care. Thank you. Bye-bye. Right, thank you very much, everyone. I hope the person who sent that last message manages to get over to see her dad real soon. Anyway, it's a goodbye from me, and it's a goodbye from Mr. Kipling. Goodbye.